Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be making some trees here. One of my goals is I started out making these and bought really crappy clay, not knowing from Michael's. And when I would try to apply my clay after making my trees, it would just keep on crumbling. Got some advice to try to put it in the oven for a bit, even though this was fast drying clay, and still didn't work. So I ended up coming across a few different ways of trying to do this, and the best result I found was actually using a hot glue gun and some pretty cool effects. So what you're going to need here to build trees, and we're going to start off with bad trees since a lot of these people online have done some really wicked videos of nice trees, but I haven't seen anything covering trees that go wrong. So what you're going to need is some floral wire like this. Excuse the coughing, guys, early morning. I suggest a pair of thin nose pliers, a thicker pair of pliers, and some wire snips. Also, try to find yourself a book that's a little bit longer, not too thick, because you're going to need some length to wrap your wire around. I got a smaller one that I've been using because I'm going to be doing some smaller trees, and I will get cracking in a few moments and show you how I go about doing my trees. Pretty much it's going to be the same standard as you see on a lot of different videos for doing trees, up to the point where we get to applying hot glue. So alright, I'm back here with my book ready to go. I'm just trying to find my starting piece right here on my spool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the short end of the book first, or not the short end, the flip end, just because it's much easier than trying to work even if we didn't have these cracks. These are actually kind of for me using this book, trying to slide these off like you saw in the smaller book. So what I do is I kind of, oh, hi Grover. What I do is I kind of start off, as you see, with an edge on top, try to pinch my finger, and then I just roll on to the top, trying to keep this first one nice and taut, and just keep on going around till you get your desired length for your tree. One of the things I do on this corner right here is I go rotating from one side to the next, just so I kind of get that one little top corner trapped in there, so I'm not constantly putting a lot of pressure on this non-stop, and I can actually start going quicker now that I've got this pinched and not worried about this getting all loose and all over the place. I'm not going to make this one too long, just because I'm trying to give you guys just a starter, so I'll probably go twice around one more time just to get that nice workability. Okay, so this will be my last one right here. Workability coming around. The reason, oops, yeah, you might have that happen a few times, losing your spool. So my last time around, I usually pull up right here to try to level off with the piece I'm using, starting off with good old pliers or snips. Give this a snip. What I usually do just to get this going, to take it off, is I do a few little twists on top just to kind of make it stay together. And then all you need to do is take your bottom end, nicely take it off of the book, and you're going to see your first set of wire pulled off. So what I do here now is I untwist what I just finished twisting up, separate them both on a different side, and then I usually give this top right here, once I got the whole bundle together, the thinner wire is actually easier to cut than this, so give it a good cut through. Oh, I missed it too on the end. Huh, okay, see, separate it. So I'm going to go all the way back down to where the loop is. I'm going to put my finger and a half, actually I'll just do a finger, and give it one good twist. Just like that. Hola. So once you do that, I usually just take my thicker set of pliers, hold down at the base where I just started the twisting, and then I start giving some nice good hard twists on the bottom. I'll actually keep on moving this up a bit as I go, just to keep my wire twist nice and good. Now you can add in small wires like the ones I had already been showing on the small book. Let me just grab one of those little wires, and these are great, I find, for adding into, like, say, branches to give a little more foliage and make those extend off a bit more. So once, I'll say right now, this will be my base that I want. This should be tall enough. So what I kind of do here is I just take the bottoms and give them a bit of a twist in. And what I'm doing here is I'm pushing down on my desk, trying to get these a little more flat, and then I kind of just pull them out a bit here on the side. And this is just purely for sitting them down and working with. Sometimes this doesn't always work as easy for me as I like it to. There we go. Let's straighten the tree up a bit more so it doesn't want to lean. And you can either cut these little bottoms right here to eventually make little tree branches out, or you can just, what I do, leave them like this and then take the clay I'm going to be working with and just kind of mold around the bottom, as you can kind of see a bit around here. But I just push it down, put some clay over on top, and then use some glue to kind of give some of the rooty looking feel. Okay, so now that I've got this like this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start trying to separating these bottom parts of the wire to give it more, come on, more of a start the branch look and know where I'm going. What I try to do is these two long ones I originally started out with, I try to actually pair up after I start breaking through these branches. Here, there's two. What I like to try to do is make sure when I'm getting down in here, can you actually see, as you can see on here, I'm trying to match everything so they're not short and long, they're actually going to be pretty easy to work with. And here's the second one I was using for the long one, so let's keep those two long ones together. Okay, so you should have kind of like a little nice Ferris wheel, or at least mine do start off like that. Good old coffee, can't go wrong with your coffee early in the morning. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my first branch. Oh, actually, look at this. I made an oopsie. So I'm going to take one of my longer cords because it was not sliding over nicely on each other. Okay, and what I do here is I find my first set of wires I want to work with. And this is why I usually like having this already done, because it gives me a bit of a holding ground to start my first set of twists. Now, I'm not going to twist all of these on here while I am, but what I'll end up doing is just fast forwarding after I do this first branch. See how I've got the twists right in here? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with my thin pliers to get a nice hold, because what you want is you want these strands that you're twisting to stay nice and tight. And this is why I kind of like the big gauged wire over the smaller gauge guys. Over this stuff, this is easier to, I find, work with in certain areas, but it's also harder to break. or easier to break when you're twisting, and I don't find you keep as good of a twist starting. So I'm starting to lose a bit of my tautness up here, so I'm going to move my snips up, or not my snips, my pliers up again, and keep on twisting so I keep a nice tight groove. And see how I have, I'm not sure if you can, there we go, see how I have this now twisted and holding off. What I usually do on my own, I kind of fumble trying to watch other videos and bring my own technique into it, is I make a little loop, and as I'm looping it, I try to take my pliers, and sometimes the bigger ones are better for this than the needle pinch, and I get them pinched at the bottom, and then I again start another twist. And trust me, you're going to get, for those who haven't done this, you're going to get some blisters on your fingers on the twisting ones your first few times. And I'm going to have a bit of a loop on this one. I think I'm going to close it off because you will see what I'm going to do with these loops. But I don't want this one as long as it is because it makes a bugger for trying to actually make this into a branch. Okay, so I've got the first twist done. I'm going to go on with the second part. So I find actually when you're doing these, we're trying to get it on this angle here. For making room, you can either bend it in towards your last loop and make it closer, or you can bend it away from this loop and give more of a space and make it wider to put more foliage in. So once again, I pinch it off, I start my twist. That twist didn't start off good, so I'm going to take my pliers, get right up there so I can get it nice and tight, and twist around again. So what we're going to do is here, let's kind of give that a bit better of a, oh, I'm losing some of my, okay, so there we go. There's the first loop of the branch. So I'm going to just quickly go on here now and finish off the rest of these so you can see me watching, and then when I do the video I will just keep fast forward on this part. And now to watch some YouTube as I finish off these strands.
Scribes, in fact, didn't have dictionaries, and many scribes didn't care how they spelled anything. Sometimes you'll be reading a manuscript and there'll be the same word that occurs, say, 3 times within a couple of lines, and the scribe will spell the same word 3 different ways. He just doesn't care how the word is spelled. Well, so you've got lots and lots of those kinds of changes, and what do they matter for? They don't matter at all. So, having said there are all these hundreds of thousands of differences, I want to stress that most of them don't matter very much. Some of these changes, the ones that don't matter, basically are accidental mistakes. Scribes were sometimes tired or sleepy, sometimes they were distracted, sometimes they were inept or unqualified, and they made mistakes. They would leave out a word, they'd leave out a verse, sometimes they'd leave out a page. They just made mistakes sometimes. One of the common...
Okay, let's slow it down right at this section right here. As you can see, I did the same technique. I've got a lot much longer pieces of wire than I did on the other one. So once again, I'm going to loop it in like we did prior for starting it. Take my pliers, boop, give my first good twist. When you're working with these longer loops, if you find it's bending, pull your finger in. I usually like to put my finger right here and give it a few good twists till I got it proper again. So, and then I'm going to move this back up here like I did prior to the first one and twist. The only difference I'm doing is I'm leaving a longer loop like you see right here, and the reason for that is I'm going to take my clips again, give it a snip, use my larger pliers just to kind of straighten this out, booyah. Just like that. And once again, I'm going to make a little flip in. Oops, I missed my join it to my bad boy right here. Actually, let's see. And then I'm just going to make this a small little branch coming out. And I try to just leave little loops here, like you see, because I like to use that with a little bit more clay so I know where my trees are going on. Because I do have a branch coming out on this side right here, instead of flipping on the outside like I did with the last one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip on the inside this time. And if I can get this over, oh no, I didn't get it tight enough. And sometimes these actually do get harder to turn as they're getting smaller. So don't be afraid to grab another pair of pliers and give it a little bit of a twist around. I know it's a little hard to see right now, especially using a phone camera. It doesn't make it easy. But this is what you do with the longer branches. A piece of wire to make branches, and then you can also manipulate where your wiring is and kind of turn it around a bit. Just like that. And this one's going to give me a bit of a problem just because it's not straight, which I'll need to use that little finger pull that you saw me doing. Alright, where's my short snips? See, I'm going to give a good finger pull, twist, keep my fingers trying to get in here as I go. Okay, there, that's perfect. See, I'm just going this time with a little bit of an outage and a larger loop, because I want to make this branch a little larger coming out. So once again, take your snips, snip. This one I should be able to just strain out with my fingers, no pliers needed. I want to point it one out, and we're going to take this bottom one and put it in, and you get the point right here. It's basically the same technique and principle. Turn into your wire, pinch down, and turn. Just like that. So, and you just keep on going around till you get a tree that you like looking like this. So I'm just going to stop this for now, quickly twist the rest, so there's nothing else I can really show you off of this one except for the next stage. Alright, I'm halfway through this tree right now, but there's something I forgot to mention. As you're twisting your tree around and you might be getting things in your way, don't be afraid to kind of move these out and around, especially with these higher gauges, because you can always move them back and twist them what's the word I'm looking for, form them to where you actually want them afterwards. You wouldn't believe how many times I moved branches around and out of the way to try to make sure I'm not getting caught into something else and creating big problems for myself, like I did my first few trees, thinking, oh goodness, I have to leave them where they are. I can't move them, otherwise I'm going to have problems. So, not so. See, I'm kind of losing this corner right here because I'm talking and not paying attention, so I'm going to grip up and tighten. So, but yeah, don't be afraid, like, you know, see right here how this kind of comes into this way right here. So all I did is, instead of having this branch over here where I'm going, oh, I'm in the way, and just kind of tuck it over here on the side take some of my other strands, the some not finished, tuck that over to the side. And I'm like, hey, look at this. I now got some room to finish. Oh, no, I don't. So take that one, push it to the side. Hey, look at that. I have tons of room to twist without getting in the way and thinking I'm messing up my branches. Not so. So, easy solution to not have these getting in your way, and something I forgot to mention to you.
So my students
Alright, so as I'm doing my tree right here, getting closer to finishing it, my pup has come down and taken over the ball of my desk, and every time I try to move my feet, she moves her head further into them. And my wife's going to kill me because she's getting some foam on her and probably going to be getting some of the stuff from my last tree on her. And let's get back to my tree.